So now I'm just going to briefly talk about adaptive questions. So I'm free to make as many different response areas in this question as I want. So I'm just going to use a little bit of editing magic now and just put in a few basic addition questions to illustrate what an adaptive question is. Okay, so skipping forwards then, I just have some basic question. I'm using the numerical response area. I have some basic arithmetic there. If I preview this question, I'm showing all three of these things at once. Now, I may want to make a kind of question where I only show something first, and then based on if the student is correct or not, maybe the question is over, or maybe I show them a little bit more. Maybe I help them through the steps of the solution. So I can do that by using adaptive sections. So if I press this adaptive section button, then I have certain rules that I can apply. Now I'm just going to hit OK here for a second about explaining, because when I do, I see this adaptive section box or division. Okay, so the rules in this adaptive section apply only to the response areas above it. Okay, so if I wanted this piece to be an adaptive section, and then I wanted this piece to be an adaptive section, I can separate these three response areas out with adaptive sections. Okay, if I look at the properties of these adaptive sections again, I see that I can assign a number of attempts to each section. So in this case, maybe I want to give the student 3 attempts. I could allow them to skip the section. I could give them a passing score. I could give them a penalty for every time that they get this section incorrect. If they are correct, as defined by the passing score, then I can weight their section. Okay, now weight is very important because all of the different adaptive sections, they should all add up to be 1. Okay, if they go over 1, then the student could get more than 100% of the marks for this question. But I do have other options here, so I can choose to show the answer, to display the question still. I could say if they're correct at this point, then I'm just going to end the question. Okay, and I can say similar things for if they're incorrect. Okay, the default for incorrect, the weighting, is 0. Okay, so if they're incorrect, then basically I don't mind. Just pretend like this bit didn't count. Okay, I may want this bit to count as much as if they were correct. Okay, so I can match those weightings. Okay, but in this case, I might want this first section to be worth half mark. So I'm going to put that as half. And for the second section, I might want that to be worth quarter marks. Okay. And I can add in another section. I was missing one here. I could have that be also quarter marks. So in total then, we have 1 full mark possible. There's a half mark for this section, quarter for this one, another quarter for this one. So if I preview this question, we can see just very briefly how it works. So I'm asked a certain question there. I can get it wrong, of course. I can have multiple attempts, but when I get it correct, I can move on. And then I'm shown the next section of the question. Okay, so if I get this wrong, the question is going to end because I've only got 1 attempt at it. So in this case, I'm going to try to get that one right, and I'll move on to the next section. Okay, so we can create different rules based on if the student is correct or incorrect. Will they see more adaptive sections, or will the question end for them? And in a nutshell, that's how we use adaptive questions.